Buckets. That's the name of my boat. Buckets.
Buckets. What we get.
Not the only transfer we got from Florida. Keith Stone, too. Remember that.
Everybody who watches his show on a regular basis knows my love of the stretch four.
You know, we all make mistakes. He might have made one going to Tallahassee.
If y'all don't know. Dribble to the left, crossover to the right. Hurricane to the game, many buckets for the night. Matt with the pick and roll, Melissa with the give and go. This alley-oop, pretty girl dunking in the hole. Check the scoreboard, this what we ball for. Beat the gameplay, they want an encore. Yeah, overtime for another round. It's buckets out the buckets, baby. You're out of time. It's buckets. What it is, homie, it's buckets. Woo! We get buckets. Yeah, baby, buckets.
I have no shame.
I know. That's the problem.
You guys are awesome.
What up, everyone? Welcome to another night of Buckets, 2 nights in a row. Much happier Buckets this evening. You got me and Vish today. And we're back because the ladies just took down number 4 NC State in a double-digit win. We pretty much held the lead for most of the game. I think the one lead NC State had was when it was 5-4. And there's so many good things to talk about. Vish, I just saw you 5 minutes ago. How's it going?
It's been a journey since I've seen you. I told you it was an easy drive from where I'm from to where you live.
It's 10 o'clock right now. I met up with Vish on campus at 5. We went and saw the ladies play, grabbed some dinner after a Titanic. Great Caesar salad. Shout out Titanic. And we're just reveling in an amazing how much did we win by? 14? 14. And a 14-point victory over number 4 NC State, whose only other loss this season is on a buzzer beater by Virginia Tech, who is also ranked in the top 20. And they blew us out a few games ago. So big, massive, massive win. You need games like this for your resume, especially with the gauntlet of the ACC. There's a lot to discuss. And for once, it's a lot of good things to discuss. So, Vish, what do we want to talk about first?
I mean, let's just start right at the beginning. The first quarter, really good defense and shot the ball really well. The shooting percentage disparity was massive. And
yeah, well, I will say, I mean, we'll talk about the second half later. In the first half, so NC State came out in a 2-3 zone, and we had really great ball movement, and we were making shots. We were up 11 after the first quarter. And we kind of maintained that, we did maintain really that 10 to 12 point lead most of the game. NC State brought it to within 6 in the fourth, and then we just went off to close the game. But offensively, we moved the ball well, and we played great defense. Shout out to Z Spearman, man. And Tosh played some really good defensive minutes in the first half, too. Z had a great bounce back game.
Yeah, and actually before the game, I told you she'd finished well against Notre Dame on Sunday, so I'm hoping that carry over, and it did. She was,
and honestly, she would have done a lot more. She got in some foul trouble in the second. Well, she got in foul trouble in the first half because she got 2 before the half ended. But she got into some foul trouble in the third quarter, so she wasn't in the game as much. But when she was in there, she made a huge difference and even made a couple of free throws, which she's been shooting 20 or 30% from the line. So that was.
I think she made her last 3 free throws.
Yeah, she missed her first 3, and then she started making them. They're line drive Shaq shots, but no, she was a force. She had she had to have led us in rebounds, and she would have had a double-double, except she got in foul trouble. She was
she had
great moves to the hoop. and getting offensive rebounds. Tosh had some really good tapbacks to give us extra possessions. The way the game started, NC State was out rebounding us like 9-1 with 6 offensive boards, and we subbed in Spearman for Kyla, and it changed the whole dynamic of the game.
Yeah, and she like you said, she led us with 8 rebounds. Lachey was second with 6. Jalea and Jasmine tied for third with 5. Jada with 4. Kyla had 1 rebound, which was what we saw early on. It was a game
if
that
somebody
Go ahead.
If somebody's watching this that knows Lachey and her family, they need to come to every game. So Shay is from Toronto, and her family came down to a game in Miami for the first time ever. And Shay went off. Like, even making threes, great drives to the hoop, playing really, really good on-ball defense, like picking up full court. When Coach Meyer subbed her out with like a minute to go, and like it was a massive, like she gave her a massive bear hug. Arguably, or maybe not arguably, I don't know if you agree with me, this might have been Lachey's best game of the season.
Yeah, it was, but I mean, it wasn't the thing that no buts about her performance. Just there was just really good balance. She had 18, Jasmine had 18, Cheyenne had 18.
The kind of like how X on the football team is like Mr. Reliable. That's Jasmine. If you put the ball in her hands, she's gonna do something good with it. Her little floater or little mid-range jumper, she barely misses. I love those shots by her where she drives in and there's like a little step back or floater in the mid-range and catches the defense off guard. That's such a key shot for her, and kind of helped settle down when NC State was making a little bit of run to try to get back into it. They put the ball in her hands. Mrs. Reliable for the women's team.
Yeah, and I think she's been struggling a little bit too as well. I think our whole team kind of did. That was a brutal road trip they just got off of, and so coming back and they're confident coming out, and they jumped NC State out of the game. Like you said, they kind of built that lead and never really got close after that.
Yeah,
but she had 18 and 5. I said Cheyenne had 18, 3 assists and 3 steals. Jasmine actually had 4 steals. Z, like we talked about, 10 points, 8 boards in 15 minutes. She was in foul trouble. Yeah, huge impact.
And it's not, and there's things in the there's things that she did that won't show up in the box score because her length and athleticism down low, just her presence there scared some of the NC State players off of the drive, and they kind of like to compare it to what UConn did to us in the Final Four. Kind of similar. She altered shots just by being there. She's not going to get credit for a block or a steal or a rebound or anything like that. Just her being in the lane definitely caused a few NC State misses that probably they make if she's not there. Yeah,
and I mean, you look at the shooting. NC State's shot 28% from the field, 26% from 3. The place where they did their damage was they were 17 and 19 from the free throw line. So they did damage there. And other than that,
can you bring up the box score? Putting you on the spot here.
Yeah. I got you. I got it.
There's one thing that I want to get to, and whenever the rotation. We need to talk about the rotation.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we've talked about it before on the pod where we basically have 11 players on the team, but we have our incoming freshman's injured, so she's not playing this season. But all other 10 come up, whether they're starting or coming off the bench, you see pretty much all 10 of them in the game usually. With this game, Tosh was the first sub in off the bench, and you saw Lamaya and you saw Ali come in towards the end of the second quarter. But in the second half, the only 2 that came off the bench was Lachey and Kyla. So Kyla started the game, but the coach started Z in the second half. But the only rotation in the second half was Lachey and Kyla. That's all you saw. And Kyla fouled out in the fourth, but which on a really weak call. But
you can see that in the minutes distribution. Lamai only played 2 minutes.
Yeah.
Ali played 6, which is not abnormal for her to get less than 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Like you said, Lachey got 7. I do think, and actually you can see it across the top there. I think the shortened rotation in the second half was due to the 22 points given up in the
second quarter.
I mean, that's 22 of their 59.
Because they made that run towards the end of the second quarter.
Yeah, and I think coach just wanted to play a different style defensively, so she used the players that could do that. And it obviously,
well, you want to talk about styles defensively? After Kyla fouled out and Z picked up her fourth for the last like 2-3 minutes of the game, we did like an offense defense type thing where we would substitute Z in for offense, but on defense we ran with 5 guards.
Yeah,
you had Jalea, Jasmine, Cheyenne, Jada, and Lachey.
Yeah, Jada was
when
guarding.
That happened, me and Vish looked at each other like, "Oh my god!" But we actually played well defensively.
Yeah, I think it's time and score too. Obviously, part of it was to protect Z because of the fouls. But also it's time and score. You want to switch everything. You don't want to give up threes. You want, if they want to feed into the post and do like, clear out the side, throw it into the post, do it and take like 20 seconds setting up to get the post 2-pointer up. You'll take that. At that point in the game.
That's fine.
So I think some of it was probably also look this way you can switch everything. Make them work for if they want a quick 2, they can get it. But it's it's still not it won't be that quick, and we were up pretty big at that point, so I think that was probably something as well.
An interesting note: we only shot 8 free throws total, which on a normal basis they'd be like, "Dang, we only got to the line 8 times." But it's because we were shooting so well, and I would say at least half of most of those were and ones. At least half of those were and ones.
Yeah, there were several. Yeah.
Yeah. Z had a few of them.
I mean, that is actually the only reason the game wasn't even a bigger margin is NC State shot 19 free throws.
Yeah.
And made 17 of them. And they really couldn't make anything else. And actually they ended the game on a 5 or 6-0 run NC State did to make it was 19 points with like a minute left.
Yeah. So they got some desperation threes up at the end, but we already there was like a minute and a half left, and we just held the ball on our end. Who's your player of the game?
That's Lachey.
Yeah.
Although, okay, so it's definitely
you can argue Z. You can argue Z, but her foul trouble limited her minutes in the second half.
I would say it's Lachey. Overall, just played a great game. But I would say, to your point, we were really getting killed on the boards early, and Z came in and kind of reversed that, and that's when we built the lead out. That's when we built the lead out.
Tosh too played big minutes in the second half that got us some offensive boards as well. So
first half, Tosh didn't see the court in the second half.
I said second quarter.
You said second half.
Well, whatever. I meant
this
second quarter.
This is on tape, damn it.
Yeah, I know. I thought I said quarter, but I meant second quarter. I meant second quarter.
That makes sense. That makes sense. And then
can we talk about keeping NC State? Can we talk about NC State keeping them under 60?
Yeah,
if you're keeping teams in the 50s, you have a chance to win every game.
I want to talk about one other thing though, because you mentioned obviously several of our players had a great game, but I would say early on when we were getting killed on the boards and NC State kept getting multiple shot attempts, and they were kind of hanging with us. The reason they didn't build a lead, because generally if that happens, you're giving up second, third shot opportunities and buckets off.
And that's what's happened, and that's what's happened in other losses is that we allow these teams to go on these 10, 15-point runs in the first half. We can't respond, and then we play even with them the rest of the game, and we never get back down. And that's happened in our last 2 games.
Right, and the reason that didn't happen is because of this woman right here, Jasmine Roberts. She came out ready to go.
She was balling.
And that first quarter was elite play, and boosted us. So I know, then Lachey came in and she balled for the entire game, and Jasmine started missing shots and stuff a little bit there in the middle part of the game. But without her coming out of the blocks that hot and that fast and boosting us, we probably do fall behind, and then that can snowball. Instead, we built the lead out. So shout out to her as well. Cheyenne was great also.
Cheyenne, I said this. I was telling this to Vish. Cheyenne's kind of like the female Nigel. If she's open, I want her to shoot it. She had a 3 that was Nigel range. She can shoot it from the parking lot. You let her get hot. There's been some games where she just makes back to back shots because when she's feeling it, I really like what as far as the guard play, what we've been doing with our starting lineup. I really like having the Jalea, Jasmine, Cheyenne, and Jada starting, and then you're bringing Cheyenne and usually Lamaya off the bench to give up more spark, more defensive spark as well. As far as the big, I feel like we're gonna keep seeing that go back and forth of who she's plugging in the starting
I think it
lineup. I don't
depends on
think there's
the
ever gonna be something set. It's gonna be depends on the matchup.
yeah. In this case, NC State does have they actually have multiple bigs they play, but they tend to be the more mobile, athletic ones. And
Yeah. Well, at one point they were playing two. They were playing two bigs
yeah,
at
they
once.
do that as well. And I think Kyla
Mhm.
was just struggling with the movement and the pace of that game.
Yeah.
And even then, she did make an impact.
Z
the
was
second
getting
half.
over to help quicker. Yeah.
Yeah, and so that's why
It made a
the
difference because Z was getting over to help quicker. So it was altering their shots.
Right, and that's why Z got the minutes here. But to your point, you go to the next game and there's a big low post player. You're gonna want Kyla in there. So
Yeah.
it really just matters. But did you notice that Jasmine, Lachey, and Jada outscored them by themselves? You could like take Z's points off the board and we still win. It was a blowout.
Oh, because our other bench players didn't score.
Yeah, no, it's 60 points from Jada, Shay, Jasmine, and Lachey. So even without Z's 10 points, we still would have won without the 3 that Jalea hit in the first quarter. Like we pretty comprehensively handled them.
I need to go. I didn't have a chance to go back and rewatch it, but I want to go back because all of Z's points were like easy layups under the basket. Like there was one. Was it Jalea? There was one where I looked at you and I was like, "What a pass!" I forget if it was Jalea.
It was Lachey.
It was Lachey. It was one of drove to the baskets and just threw a beautiful bounce pass with the movement from Z coming down into the lane. It was gorgeous. Some of the passes were great. I do think if we want to say a negative, we really need to work on our press break. It was very chaotic. We did have a few
that actually, if you look at the that's where the 8 points in the third quarter came from. We could not. One, we turned it over a few times just directly out of press. We also took so long to break it and we're so uncomfortable. And Melissa, you called us out during the game. By the time we were getting into our sets, 15 seconds on the shot clock, and that's just not enough time to run. Yeah, that's not enough time to run the offense. We had 1 10-second violation as well off of that. So yeah, that all came in the third quarter, and that's why we only scored 8 points there. And it did feel at that point like we were a little bit hanging on for dear life.
I tweeted it too. I said we're up this, but at one point I think they got to within 6 within the fourth. I'm like, this is getting too close. And then right after I tweeted that, we went off.
Yeah, and I think that start in the third actually carried into the fourth. Now I think about it, because the fourth was the one where we got the steal. They had the ball first. We got the steal, and Cheyenne got the 3-point play. And then we didn't score again for a long time. And then, like you said, started clicking.
Yeah, we had a drought.
Yeah, it started clicking. We finally started executing.
You can take off the box score.
I'm just marveling at our defense here, man.
Listen, this is what I love to see, because we've talked about this a lot, especially in the offseason. We held LSU in the 50-point range in the Elite Eight last year, which I think was like their lowest point total they had all season, but we couldn't make a bucket. And it was such a shame because our defense was so good. So to hold a number 4 NC State team to under 60 points, but see our offense thrive like it did. Coach Meyer's teams are defensive teams. Like defense is like the thing. But if we can shoot like that and have ball movement like that, we can win a lot of games. And that's what was so frustrating is like we've had these 2 blowout losses to these 2 ranked teams in Notre Dame and Virginia Tech. And besides for like a little 5 to 8 minute span where the other team goes off, we play toe to toe with these teams. Tonight we played a complete game. We didn't let those little shifts in the score bother us because we built up a lead early. And even when NC State would make a run, we would make a run right back. If we can play like this every game, we should win every game.
Well, I mean, we're not going to play this every game, but I think the difference today versus some of the other, because actually, against Virginia Tech and against Notre Dame, we kind of hung with them for most of the first quarter, and then, like you said, they go on a spurt, and then it was kind of done. And then we the difference. Well, yeah, the difference here is because NC State did come at us a few times, right? They made some runs. They are the number 4 team in the country. That's going to happen. The difference here is we were in an offensive rhythm right from the beginning. We got like a layup on the first possession of the game, and we just
Kyla tipped it to, I think it was Cheyenne at the jump.
Yeah.
Shiny took it in for a basket.
Yeah, and
I turned to Vish. I was like, that was a nice start.
Yeah, yeah, and we were just in that rhythm the whole game. So it's much easier when teams go on a run when you're trusting your offense to go ahead and go down and get a bucket.
Yeah. It's also easier when the team goes in a run and you're already up double digits instead of when it's like, okay, they go on a run, but you were like tied or down 2. Like,
right. Yeah, no, that's definitely
when you
the case.
when you don't start sluggish, amazing things can happen.
Yeah, but I do think a lot of it is just the offense was in a rhythm today, so it just makes it easier to stop the runs, to respond, to have confidence that it doesn't really matter if they score 6-8 points in a row, because you can score 6-8 points at just as quickly. The last couple of games, it wasn't like that. It was really a struggle to get any buckets, and so we ended up touche. So we ended up
use the word buckets in the show.
Yeah. So then when Virginia Tech goes like a 10-0 run, it's like it's going to take us a long time to score 10 points. In this game, it wasn't like that. The only quarter we struggled offensively was the third quarter. The rest of them,
the press break was a little bit of issue, but we adjusted.
Yeah,
and we had the right people bringing the ball up after.
Yeah, it was a little sloppy there, but other than that, like we were scoring so easily that like it did make it so that when they made a run, you could get the points back pretty quickly. Whereas last couple of games not in rhythm offensively, like, it could take us a long time to score that many points. We're in some trouble here. This was like we said, a big win, a needed win. It's because let's move the Kings to 2-4 in ACC play. So they really did need the win here.
Really, and it's a win where it could easily be on the bubble, and that's a win that could put us over the top, assuming we continue to play well. A win against a number 4 team and double digit fashion, that is a massive win. We needed it to go, and honestly, I don't know what I was expecting. I was like, man, I hope this isn't a blowout loss. Like, let's stick with them. Let's make it a game, blah, blah, blah. It's the number 4 team in the country. So, I was like, oh my God, there's a good chance we could be 1-5 in ACC play. And that's just disastrous. So this was when we lost that, like Vish said before, we lost that game against Boston College, and you're like, dang, we knew we had 3 ranked teams coming up, and you're like, that loss hurts, man. But this more than makes up for it. And, we need to keep the momentum. Like that's the best I've seen us play all season.
Yeah, no, it was, and it doesn't get easier next week. So going to North Carolina, who's also ranked highly. So it's
that'll be our 4th game in a row against a ranked team.
Well, it's our it'll be our 7th ACC game. 5 of them will be against ranked teams. So. Yeah, that's going to get.
So for the fans of basketball that don't necessarily follow women's basketball, half of the ACC is basically ranked. The women could go 500 in ACC play and likely make the tournament. It's very different than the men's side. The women, the ACC is so stacked. So when you're looking at wins and losses, you can go 500 and make the tournament. There's so much. One win moves your percentage of making the tournament up tremendously. So
that's why need to win some of these tough games, because again, next week is at North Carolina and hosting Duke. Duke just blew out Virginia Tech at home today. So you're sitting there like,
oh, did that game go finally?
Yeah, Virginia Tech never recovered. Like they only scored 40.
Oh, it got worse. Wow, it got worse. That's crazy.
So after Duke, then at Wake Forest, the Canes are better than Wake Forest. They should win that. They already blew them out once. And then at Florida State, after that, another ranked road game. So
and Florida State just lost to Syracuse.
Yeah, Florida State lost to Syracuse. But these are, again, it's ranked teams on the road. Like without this win,
we beat them on the road last year, didn't we? Didn't we upset them last year at their place?
I think we beat them at home.
Was it at home? I forget where it was, but I know we beat them last year when they were.
We did beat them at home, but I guess my point is, it's 2. Our next 4 games are 3 of them are on the road, 2 of them are on the road against ranked teams. This is coming off of playing 3 ranked teams in a row and 4 out of 5 against ranked teams. Like this is just brutal. And look, you need to.
And we lost the first 2.
Yeah, well, you need to pull these up
in blowout fashion.
And that's why today's game was so important, because you start playing 1-5, Go North Carolina, so he's a 1-6. Now you got to play Duke, 1-7. Like how you could easily fall way behind, and then because look, the schedule does. I don't think there's ever been a schedule that's front loaded. Because after Florida State, right? That's the next. That's
a lot
4
of
games
road
from
games.
now. Yeah, that is on February 4th. That's 4 games from now. Then the Canes have 8 more games. The only ranked team they play the rest of the season after that is Florida State at home. For whatever reason, the ACC computer spit out all of the tough games at the front of the Canes ACC schedule. So what they need to do now is just keep your head above water, and then when you get to the back half, we got to rack the wins up. And this allows them to do that.
If you would have told me at the beginning of the season that we play 4 ranked teams in a row and we can go 2-2 in those, I would take that.
Well, certainly winning at North Carolina would be a huge win.
Yeah, but I'm saying especially after losing the way we did to Virginia Tech and to Louisville, to then go and beat NC State, and we'll see what happens with North Carolina if we can beat them on the road there. That's tremendous. That would be amazing. So, and also going in with a bit of a confidence booster with this game.
That's
how
the
we
big
played.
thing. That's the big thing.
Yeah.
Playing well now. Hopefully, you can carry that forward. It's a week off. They don't have to play this weekend, so kind of reset a little bit, and then go out to Chapel Hill. But again, I think this win allows them to now look. Okay, so you got Duke at home and at Wake Forest after North Carolina State before, going to Florida State. If you can 2-2 this stretch, even that'll put you in a position where you're sitting there at 4-6 in conference, but only 1 ranked team out of the remaining 8 games. You can now. That's where you can start getting to. You're sitting there 4-6 8 games.
As we all know,
yeah,
we the women, they pick up in February and March.
Right.
Katie Meyer's teams get better and better as the season goes on.
Yes, and
so
my co-host
they're not even close.
And tags Katie Meyer in it.
I'm quoting myself again. We haven't even come close to peak basketball with the women. And I said it all off season, and I keep saying it even through the losses, that this team has so much potential. There's so much talent on this team. And it's very well rounded. We have a lot of players that can do different things. When we put this all together, which we're going to do because Coach Meyer is an amazing coach, I let this team get in the tournament and let's see what happens.
Yeah, and again, without this win tonight, the schedule the schedule could overwhelm.
It seems a little bleak.
Well, but now even again, if you can go 500 over the next 4 games, 3 of them are on the road, and the home game is Duke. 2 of those games are road ranked teams, so it's not going to be easy to do that. But if you could do that, and you're sitting there at 4-6, now you have 8 games left. Only one of them's a ranked team. That's Florida State at home. Now you're like, we could go 6-2, maybe 7-1 in that stretch.
And within those last 8 games, a majority of them are home games because we're also front loaded with road games at the beginning of the ACC schedule as well.
Yeah,
so
it's 5
the mix
home
of
games
more home games and only 1 ranked team. That's also very important. That's also it's helpful. It's,
Yes, and so certainly, 8-0 is technically possible, obviously, but very realistically, 7-1, 6-2. Then you're sitting there at 10 wins in the ACC. That's easily in. Like you said, you're going to get a really good seed in the NCAA tournament off of that. Like that.
And also at least 1 bye in the ACC tournament. I'm not expecting top 4 because there's so many ranked teams.
There's too much.
But you want to get in the top 8 because you at least want 1 bye.
Yeah, no, that's definitely true. And you also definitely, the last couple of years in the tournament, the Canes had to, in the ACC tournament, had to win at least 1 game to secure their spot. There's an opportunity
spot, the
NCAA's tournament spot, and they ended up in the 8-9 game in both of them. There's an opportunity now with this win, if you can stack that another couple of wins on top of that out of these next 4, and then do what you need to do down the stretch of the season, and you start getting to 11 conference wins. That range, in the ACC, that's serious business.
Get us out of that 8-9 game where we're playing.
Oh, I think it most definitely will. And you're probably looking at 6 seed, 5 seed type of range at that point.
Yeah.
Or they could just win out,
which would be awesome
get to host.
Yeah, I mean, you got to win a lot if we're gonna
That's
get there.
it's not gonna happen. There's too many losses
But
already.
but if you look at it, the last 2 seasons, we've been that 8-9 game and have to play the one in the second round. Last year, we managed to win it. But the thing is, again, with the women's tournament, the first 2 rounds are hosted by the top seed in that bracket. So we had to play number 1 Indiana last year at Indiana. The year before that, we had to play number 1 South Carolina at South Carolina. So there's I mean, obviously you want a higher seed because it's an easier run to the Final Four. But in the women's tournament, those top seeds get home games.
Yeah.
That's a big deal. And when you play at Indiana, which is a basketball school, that place was freaking packed, man. Like loud as crazy. So
yeah, and this one enables a lot because I think and look, it's not fair to them to say, "Oh, you have to win a game against a top 5 team," but had they not, you're talking about, okay, how do we play our way onto the bubble?
and
This is a
and
big
how do you
step.
come back on the road against a ranked team when
Right,
you just lost 3 in a row?
Yeah, and then you're staring at 1-6 in conference with Duke coming to town. Like it could have very easily gone out of control. And now you're in pretty good shape. Obviously, at North Carolina next week's gonna be tough. Duke at home the week after is gonna be tough. At Wake Forest, the type of game you have to win. But then at Florida State, so yeah, they could easily lose 3 out of the next 4.
Yeah,
and that's why this win.
schedule,
But that's why this win was so important. You just need to win 1 to 2 of this stretch, and then take care of business against the poorer teams down the end of the season. So they've gotten one. Another one would be very ideal to kind of set up the back half of the season.
And we talked about this off show where we were saying we saw this 3-game stretch with Louisville, Virginia Tech, and NC State. And I was like, man, like if we can get at least one of those games, that would be amazing. And we did, and we beat, I mean, number 4. That was for me my least likely. I was hoping we would get the Notre Dame win because to play at Virginia Tech is so tough. So man, if we can get this North Carolina win, I will be so happy. I mean, I'm happy now, but 2 ranked wins in a row, that the momentum going into the second half of ACC play where it's going to get easier and you have more home games. I gotta check my work schedule and move some stuff around because I need to get to more home games. It's inexcusable. I haven't been to enough games this year.
You've been to quite a few.
I know, but I need to be at more. People, you guys, whoever's watching this, you all need to go out and support the women's team, guys. Like, they are so much fun. It is so much fun to watch.
Yeah, and I get it. I mean, that is not an easy area to get to at 6 p.m. on a weekday.
Yeah.
So I mean,
6 p.m. on a weekday, but
the game time was kind of crap, and that's
thank God I was off today.
Well,
I'm in the middle of my basketball stretch.
Yeah, and I was like hanging around campus anyway, so that worked out. But
well, no, we went to the FSU game yesterday, this game today, and I'm going to the Heat game tomorrow. So
yeah, she's on a 3-day streak.
It's nice to get a win on board going into the Heat game tomorrow. I was like, I don't want to be 0-2.
Well, I mean, I was telling Melissa, like, obviously we're Cowboys fans. That happened on Sunday. That the men's team loses to FSU at the same time they're bringing back Mike McCarthy. I was like, we needed a win here, man. And Coach Meyer stepped up as she always does and delivered it. But we need to win something.
We do.
And we got. It was a big one. It was a big one.
And you know what's crazy? And I'm sorry that I wasn't confident enough, but like when we broke out that 11-point lead after the first quarter, in my head I was just like, oh my God, I'm just waiting for the run. Was waiting for the run because like when you're playing a top 5 team and how good NC State is, I wasn't confident that we'd be able to hold it. It's kind of those things is like when you play Duke and you get up a little bit, like in 2012, 2013, when we were beating Duke, like by 20, and like the entire halftime, I was like, oh, well, they're going to make a run. They're going to make a run. And we held them off and they never got to back. They got close to within 6 and that was it. And it's like, all right, I love it. Like that was a full 40 minutes of basketball.
Yeah. And it is I mean, this is going to be, it was, I mean, honestly, coming in this game is pretty bleak.
It was
because you're already, it's not fair. They didn't set up the order of the schedule. It's just hard to imagine not playing a bad game at some point in the back half of the schedule and losing some game that you think on paper you should win. Already happened once at Boston College. So you really just needed this to happen, and it did. And now all of a sudden, things are looking up big time. One game.
No, you
doesn't
needed it
matter that much.
because you don't. You needed it because you don't want to go into another ranked team on the road after losing 3 straight. You needed it because you only had 1 win in the ACC. It's a big win. Obviously, they're number 4, so it's a resume builder, and it's just a confidence builder as well. We did so many things right. For everyone that played well. It's just, and then you have a few extra days to rest and get ready for a big road game. It's more valuable than anything so far this season. This was so necessary.
It was, and you mentioned, okay, so let's do a little tactical thing here. Then we can update the Mount Trashmore since you and Matt had go backs, and then
we thought of some more,
and then get out of here. But one of the things we haven't talked a lot about is, so we came out in the zone, and we're generally a man-to-man team.
Mm-hmm. We didn't play zone for very long, though.
No, we played zone most of the game.
No, it was like a matchup zone.
It was
like a matchup zone.
It was a classic just 2-3 zone. It was a
it looked like a matchup zone.
It was a Jim Boeheim 2-3 zone. It was 3 along the back, 2 at the elbows. And you got to admit it worked because they couldn't shoot. They shot 20-something%, and they got some looks. They hit their first 3, and I remember Turney was like, "We're probably going to drop out of the zone 2 and go back to man if they keep shooting that." And they didn't make crap the rest of the game. It definitely worked. It did hurt us a little bit in the rebounding, but I'm assuming that, because again, Coach Meyer is a defense first coach, and generally we play very aggressive man-to-man defense. This was almost the opposite of that. So we weren't even doing the full court pressure we usually do. It was all very much. Mm-hmm. I am just going to assume she picked that up on tape that they were going to struggle against the zone and install that, because in fact, even in the warm-ups,
they were practicing it. You even said it. They're like, you said it too. You turned to me. They're like, they're warming up in a zone.
Because because we normally do not play it, and I think she saw. This is all on Coach Meyer. I think she saw that this would be effective and install the defense over the last few days, and they obviously worked on it all the way.
And that probably made a difference in the rotation as well. Maybe there was some things in practice. And then the few minutes that some other people were in the game where she's like, all right, these people are the ones that are managing, playing defensively, playing well in this zone, and limited the rotation to 7 people.
Yeah.
And we usually play the full 10.
Yeah. And I will say there have been times when especially Allie has maybe not played or only played a couple of minutes, but I don't recall.
It's never really Lamaya ever having that limited.
And it has happened to Tasha at times too, because we do have 3 bigs. Well, we have 3 bigs, and if a couple of them are going well, the third one generally doesn't get on the court because you're not rotating that heavily at that position. We very, very rarely sometimes play Z and Tasha together. But most of the time it's just one of those 3 on the court. There's not that many minutes to go around. And if one of them playing well, Z took those minutes in the first half and played really well.
Because Tosh was the first one off the bench in the first quarter too. So she saw some minutes, and then she came back in when Z got in foul trouble. But in the second half, Z started the second half. She didn't start the game, and she was the third big. She was the third big to come in out of the 3. And then she started the second half, and then you didn't see Tosh again. Coach brought Kyla back in for extended minutes when Z got in foul trouble again, and then even left Kyla in when she picked up her 4th, and she ended up fouling out. Yep. But you didn't see Tosh again. Lamaya only got 2 minutes. Allie got I think 6 or 7. But you didn't see the Tosh, Allie, or Lamaya in the second half at all. She shortened the bench, and the way Lachey was playing, she came off the bench in the second half as well, but she played more minutes than some of our starters too. And then we went full guard for the last few minutes of the game on defense. So Lachey, that's the best game I've seen her play. She had a tremendous game, and it's also because they interviewed her after the game. It was so awesome to hear after that. Like I said before, her family was in the building for the first time ever. But what did she say? She's like, "This is my first time my family popped off to a game. They came from Toronto." I was like, I love how she said that.
Yeah, no, it was great night for her for the program, and I am now curious when we go into North Carolina if we see more of the zone because we hadn't used it a lot this year. We obviously used it effectively here. It might be a one-off thing.
Who starts? Because Coach Meyer isn't afraid to change the starting lineup.
I still think it'll probably be the same lineup. With the caveat being, I'm not sure. I haven't had a chance to really look at North Carolina yet. If they have if they're a bigger team versus a smaller team? Because again, we have I would say Z and Tasha are a little bit more closer together in terms of style of play. Kyla's a completely different thing there. So
yeah.
And sometimes you need what Kyla brings, and sometimes you need what Z/Tasha bring.
No, so Kyla's had some great games this season.
Yeah. So I could see potentially a switch there if you need the more athletic big. I don't think Lachey will come back in the lineup because she's been playing much better coming off the bench. I think Coach likes her in that. Likes her, yeah, exactly. Likes her in that role of coming off. That she's always an energy ball, so you bring her in.
Man, if she keeps hitting threes, I think she was 2 of 3 from 3. If she can make a couple of those every game effectively, that's going to, because Lachey is a smaller, but she's a gritty, aggressive guard that likes to take the ball to the hole. A lot of her points come off of drives and layups. Like, she's not a big 3-point shooter. That's not her game. There's been a few times where she's caught the ball open in the corner and she doesn't take them. She pump fakes and takes it in. And if she can make a few of those threes a game, it's going to help her game, her drive game so much more, because people are going to have to start honoring that. It's the same thing with Jalea. Jalea needs to do the same thing. But she shot the ball really well today. So if she can expand on that's going to make her even more dangerous, because she's a tough defender as well. She's everywhere. So it's good to see. I think I said it to you before the game. I was like, man, I would love to see. I think she made that first 3, and I was like, I would love to see her get that offensive, that jump shot going. And then she hits a second one. I'm like, okay, I like it. So because we talked about Jalea a lot preseason, saying like if she can develop a 3, she's going to be really dangerous. It's the same thing with Lachey.
Well, at least my assumption preseason, and I guess that's coming to fruition now, although what you said in the off season is definitely true, is I'm not sure that Jalea's shot it's off a little bit, and we focused on her. And like you said, Lachey, I think as we assumed Lachey would come off the bench, and I was as shocked as you were that Lachey was starting most of the year. And I think and Cheyenne wasn't, which was really a surprise. And now it's kind of bounced the other way. But yeah, I mean, I think she's just better in that bench role. I think Lachey is. So I don't think
she's thriving. She's. I mean, obviously this is the best game she's played, but in other games too. But I mean, yeah, if she gets that shot going, she's a defensive spark as well.
She's a really good passer too. So here, you want to?
It was Jalea that made it. So never mind. I was going to say that pass to Z, but that was Jalea.
No, that was Lachey.
I'm confusing it again, aren't I?
Yeah, you mixed it up. Was it Lachey? It was definitely Lachey.
Well, Lachey's pass to Z was beautiful. Beautiful.
Here's a stat for you. Kyla played 15 minutes, didn't attempt a shot. Latasha played 7 minutes, didn't attempt a shot.
Kyla needs to get the ball closer to the basket, and she just needs to go up with it. Every time she brings the ball down and tries to dribble, I get nervous, because a lot of the times it ends up in a turnover. She mishandles the ball. She's better closer to the rim, where she can kind of pivot, maybe take one dribble and go up, because she needs to use her size better.
So I was in the middle.
Her catching the ball at the top of the key, or not the top, at the free throw line.
Anyway, what I was saying.
Sorry, I ran on a rant during the game too. I was so mad. It's like Kyla.
Kyla played 50 minutes without taking a shot. Latasha played 7 minutes, didn't take a shot. Allie played 6 minutes, didn't take a shot. Lamaya only played 2 minutes, took 1 shot. That
was a missed layup on a break.
Yeah, no, it
wasn't on a break. It was kind of in transition, but the defense had gotten back. And Lamaya has no fear. I love her aggressiveness. She's never afraid to drive the ball. She pump fake and drove and had the layup. It just went off the rim. But Z finished it. So
right. But I guess my point is, I think we were a little bit better about shot selection today, and that's why another reason the shooting percentage rose. So,
but Also, I will say, Lamaya came. I think there was a timeout right after that basket, and coach immediately went up to Lamaya and said something like, "Oh, that was a great shot," and was like clapping and like gave her a high five, even though she missed it because it was a great shot selection. She made a great drive to the hoop, didn't make it, but it still was a good. I love Lamaya. You know, that's like one of my
Yeah,
gays.
no. The
So.
reason I'm smiling is you said Lamaya, great shot, and then didn't put her in the rest of the game. That was it. That was that.
I mean, I don't
She
know
came
what
up,
coach was seeing.
not to play again.
I'm just saying. I know because you said she took one shot, but she missed it. But it was a great shot. I know
No,
it
it was
didn't
a
go in.
good
It was
move to the
unfortunate.
hoop,
It was a great
but
move to the hoop.
I do
So.
recall you calling out at the time, going to that timeout, that she was complimentary of Lamaya's play there, and then she didn't play her again the rest of the game.
Yeah, I mean, obviously we don't know what coach saw.
It's got to be
the
defensive. The defense collapsed in the second quarter, and that's why she shortened the rotation, and obviously it worked. But yeah, no,
we made adjustments in this game that we didn't do in the men's game the night before. Huge win, massive. Yeah. I think I put it in caps. Yeah. I was the one live tweeting from the Buckets account tonight from the game. I don't know if anyone was following it, but that was me. Generally, you'll know it's me if you see a lot of exclamation points or emojis.
Yes, she was live tweeting from the game and then holding her phone up in front of my face to make sure I retweeted it, which I was doing anyway.
But so just for context, when I'm live tweeting a game, once it hits the fourth quarter or the last 10 minutes of the second half for the men, I will only tweet during timeouts because I'm too involved in the game. For the fourth quarter of the women's game, I was standing for the last 5 minutes. I didn't even sit down.
I will say it's different when we're at the game. For me, because my TV source is streaming, yours is not. So you're always like a little bit ahead of me. So I have to not only not look at Twitter because I don't want to like, oh, great shot, and then I see it go in like 20 seconds.
Oh, if we're not there?
Yeah, that's one thing. Yeah. That's one thing. The second thing.
But that's because when you're in DC, you have to stream it. I watch it from Miami. TV. If I watch it on the regular network, it's like up 2 plays ahead from you.
It's not that far ahead, but it is like 15 20 seconds. Yeah. So I end up, having to mute the Buckets group chat.
But it's also different. It's also different too, because we go as media, but for the women's game, because unfortunately not a lot of people go, we're able to just sit in the crowd. At men's game, we have to sit in the media section, so we can't like cheer or anything.
Yeah, next to the athletic director.
Yeah. Oh yeah, we were sitting next to Dan Redikovich for the first half of the men's game.
We did. Second game in a row for me. Yeah.
We were making that comeback last night, or trying to make a comeback last night, and Nigel hit a 3, and I went like this.
I wish we had this on video. Because I don't know that anyone else would have noticed what you did.
We have noticed.
Did he? It looked a little bit like an awkward stretch, and I was like, you were 100% about to cheer, and then it turned it into a stretch.
Nigel hit back-to-back 3s, and we cut it to 2, and I got really excited, but you have to be neutral in the media area.
I mean, it's literally that little thing, the slip they get with your name on where you're sitting. It's literally the first bullet there. Did you read the paper?
Yeah, you can't cheer. Wait, where is it? It says game day policies. No cheering is permitted on press row. Is literally the first rule. There's 4 rules here. There's 4 bullet points here for game day policies. And it literally, the first one is no cheering.
The first rule of press row is the rules do not apply to the athletic director because.
Oh, he slammed the table at one point. We did something stupid, or officially made a shot, and he was like,
"You're gonna have to narrow it down way more for that game." No, but I sat next to him for the Clemson game too for the first half, and he had a reaction there as well, and also at one point yelled at profanity. He was a little bit more
but at least we
in
came back and won.
We came back and won that. But again, he for the last couple
he leaves
of games,
at the half.
He slips out at halftime. So and probably
also, not that he's watching this, but shout out to Jack McClinton. I saw him at the game, and he may have recognized me and gave me a fist bump, or he just saw that I recognized him and acknowledged that I was saying hello. But
no, he knew who you were.
Yeah,
he's been on the show.
Yeah,
and we've talked to him at the studio.
Yeah.
There's no way
he was eating his Dippin' Dots.
Yeah, there's no way he didn't know.
He put the spoon in his mouth and went like this.
Yeah.
I was like, "What's up, Jack?"
He knew who you were.
Yeah.
Okay, so just kind of upcoming stuff. The men play at Syracuse on Saturday at noon. Must win. The women actually don't play again for another week. They play next Thursday at 8 p.m. in Chapel Hill.
I'm gonna be at work. So Vish will be the one tweeting.
What, next Thursday? Yeah, probably. And then next Wednesday, though, so the men actually play twice before the women play again. The men are at Notre Dame, so those
And
are
we'll do a buckets after that.
Yeah, we'll do a buckets either at midnight or at I think that'll probably be just a direct post game 9 p.m. I think, but
Preferably, I have to work the next day. Midnight buckets when I have to work interrupts my nightly routine.
well, theoretically, it shouldn't, but we always go long, so that it does. But anyway,
Yeah.
we'll. All right, so yeah, so stay tuned for that. I don't know. Are we doing a show Saturday? We'll talk.
We could.
There might be a post.
It
won't be directly.
It depends.
It won't be directly.
It depends when we do it and when it ends because me and Vish are going to be on Miami. No, Miami Flows Sunday. Ignore me.
Miami Flows.
Well, anyway,
Sunday.
I'm going to promote it. I'm going to promote it anyway. Sunday night for those of you who follow. I mean, a lot of you probably follow Canes football. Me and Vish are going to be on Miami Flow Sunday night. I'm not sure the time. It's whatever time he usually goes on.
It's around 9.
Flow's going to do a basketball segment. So definitely if you don't watch the Flow Network, you should. They have a show pretty much every night. They've got different guys that do their shows that cover different things. Flow's a big like recruiting guy. You've got Miami Mayhem on Thursday night where it's just a bunch of chaos and fun with AO and Lex. I don't know why I called him Alex. Wow. Wednesday night is 3 Live Canes with my boy Steve-O and the guys. They break down a lot of stuff. And then on Tuesday, you got Max and Big Mac with cheese. So Max is usually in the comments.
Big Mac with extra cheese. Is it cheese?
Is it with extra cheese? I don't remember. It used to be A Black. Now it's Big Mac. So I can't. Anymore, yeah. Because A Black does some other stuff too. A Black's still my boy. I got him a hoodie last year. So, but yeah, definitely if you want football content, obviously watch Sixer and Canes on Monday night on the 5 Reasons Sports Network. But Flow's network is amazing. So definitely come support us on Sunday night on Flow's channel and show some love. Yeah, and then so again there's a decent chance we have a show on Saturday. I don't think it'll be directly after the game because the game's gonna at 2 p.m. And Melissa, that's just make sure you're following us at buckets_Canes, and we'll definitely announce it. Yeah,
we'll probably try to. We'll see. Got to see when Matt's available too, because it's really early for him too, because it's an AM tip.
Oh,
it's a 9 a.m. No, it's a 9 a.m. tip for him. It's noon.
Oh, it's a noon game. I thought you said it was a 2 o'clock game.
No, that's what I said. The game's gonna end at 2. We're probably not gonna go live at 2 p.m.
Yeah.
So there might be something maybe Saturday night or something where we just kind of do a recap. So stay tuned for that. Maybe on Melissa's new computer. All right, before we get out of here,
we're gonna
do that on Saturday. That's why we're also gonna be doing that. So
we'll do it after the game, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, you're not even gonna be. It's not even gonna be ready at like noon for us to do it before the game or something.
Yeah, I'm probably gonna miss the first half of the game, honestly.
Well, I mean, she says that and she wakes up. It's like I'm up.
I sleep.
Yeah, I know, but then you actually wake up. She'll text me.
I'm
watching.
I'm watching. I might miss the first few minutes. It might be like 12:15, which is really only like 5 minutes of basketball time.
Bleep, I forgot to hit record. It's another favorite.
Oh, I hate when that happens.
Make sure you set the timer on that. The DVR. Okay, so before we get out of here, I know you had some updates to your Mount Trashmore. I'm gonna pull Matt's up.
There was one I wanted to update that happened to me on the way to pick Vish up for the game today. And it's when you're sitting on a traffic light and you're in a long line of traffic and somebody on a motorcycle or scooter just drives in between all the traffic to the front. Wait your turn like everybody else.
Here it is. Here's Matt's, and then I have a comment on yours too. The high school parents that drop their kids off in front of our house, they block our driveway and honk at us for backing out. So that is the equivalent. I mean, look, obviously, if someone
Matt lives right by his school.
Yeah. No, we've that this was not on the show. This is post show when we were just talking and the stream was dead. We all looked at each other's houses. This is where I did this, and we did a little Google Maps tour. But I could see why that would be annoying. However, that is very similar to the, you come into the hospital with a stomach ache and then want to eat type of thing. It's very niche. If you experience, you're like, this is the worst thing that's so annoying, but then like most people are not going to have any idea what you're.
Also, did you notice in the first half of the game? So the way the arena works for the women's game, the one side behind the benches is for the season ticket holders, and then the rest of the arena is general admission.
Right.
There wasn't a lot of fans there, unfortunately, so we're just sitting like in a random row, And this like 6'5" dude decides he wants to sit right in my eye line, like 2 rows ahead of us for the first half.
I just assumed you would have said something you couldn't see because we could just slid over. It wouldn't have mattered.
I mean, he blocked like the little lower half of the court. It was fine. But like, dude, you literally have like the entire arena. And you see me, he even looked behind him before he sat down and still sat down.
I think he probably thought a couple of rows was safe. He was wrong.
It was 1 row and then him.
Yeah, well, that's a couple.
That's 1 row.
I looked down and saw the dude, and I'm like, obviously I'm taller than you too, so I can probably see over. He didn't block me, and I was like, is he? In my head, I should have said something because we could just slid over a chair.
Well, no, because it was empty, so I was sitting in a random row right at midcourt.
Yeah. No, I know, but we could have just moved 1 seat over. I saw him do this, and I'm like, that might be blocking Melissa. And you didn't say shit, so I'm like, okay, it must not be an issue. And
no, it was. It didn't. It didn't block.
4 hours later, does this come up?
But no, because we were sitting mid-court and it was directly in front of me, so it was blocking that little part of mid-court. It didn't block the actual like 3-point line area and to the basket. So, but like honestly, you literally had the entire arena. I was.
We could have slid
bro.
over. I don't know why you didn't say anything.
I do that for like football games, like for like when we play like cupcake teams and there's nobody in the upper deck. And I go to my seats and there's people like sitting right behind where I sit. I just move over more. Like there's no reason to sit right in front of people.
Are you looking at the chat?
Nate says average. What's up, Nate? Average turnout for a women's game. Best entertainment. It really is.
Yeah.
Nate is one of the few people I know that also follow the women like crazy. He knows.
Yeah.
Me and Nate went to a bunch of women's games as students.
Yeah, no, the women, like you said, it's the best. Like Nate said, it is.
Honestly, the best time at a basketball game I've ever had. Me and Nate and a few of the guys went to. There was like a weekend tournament or something, and so it was like Miami played a team, and then we stayed for the other 2 teams, and we heckled that team's bench that was near us in the student section, like the whole game. We got reactions from them.
So. I've done, obviously, because I went to the NCAA tournament games last year. I've gone to the ACC tournament. When Miami is playing, I just can't enjoy anything else. So I'm just like, I don't care if we already won or not. Like, in fact, here's a good example. The Sweet 16 game, we played first. We killed Houston. And I'm like, I'm going to enjoy the shit out of the second game. It was like 5 minutes out, and I was like, I am so, like, drained.
And we played terrible against Texas for the last 8 minutes. Yeah, it was. That was different. But that was different. Nate remembers. I actually think there might be pictures on Facebook of us at that game. Nate remembers it too because they were heckling. Him and Russ were heckling the women's bench in the second game because we didn't care.
See,
because this is what happened. This is what happened with as far as like me and Nate had season tickets together for like 10 years at men's games, but we go to women's games too. My voice doesn't really travel that much, but Nate can yell. So I would just make comments to him and then he would be like, haha, that's funny. And then he would yell it and more people would hear it. And so that kind of was our thing.
Yeah, no, and you can definitely hear it during the women's games because it is pretty empty there. So you can shout something and they will hear it. Yeah, no, but that is like, I could never, this happened multiple times after we beat Drake and like Indiana was coming. I knew we were probably going to play them next. And I'm out there warming up. I should watch them. And like after 5 minutes, I'm getting the hell. I'm so tired. I'm drained. All my adrenaline.
You get emotionally drained even after a win.
Well, the worst one was the Texas. I think they played Xavier after we played Houston. Mm-hmm. And I mean, Melissa knows this. I'm not oversharing. I don't really eat during the day, and especially that day because the women had played earlier in the day. And I was like,
well, you saw me at the Final Four.
Yeah, no, but
a drumstick for lunch because I was too nervous.
I normally don't eat. I mean, like I don't eat anything. I don't eat food during the day at all. Like when we ate at Titanic, that was the first time I ate today. But
and that was after the women's game tonight. Yeah, I had a whole Shorty's meal earlier for lunch.
But I'm used to that, right? But the one, there's a reason I'm telling the story. So that day was even worse though because the women played Villanova in the afternoon. So I've been a nervous wreck.
Gave up a big lead.
Yeah.
Gave up a big lead and almost lost.
Yeah, but then
emotional wreck.
Shout out to Jasmine, big game she had there. So basically, I watched that in my hotel room, and then they win. So I'm already it starts to
drained.
Then I take an Uber to the arena, And then, we beat the crap out of Houston. The game wasn't even competitive. And all I had was water and coffee the whole day. And it's at this point, it's what, like 9 and 9:30 or whatever at night. And they were selling liquor, and I'm like, I'm gonna have a victory drink. So I did not get food.
Nothing in your stomach.
I got this out, and I drank it, and I'm like, I need to go now. Like, I am going to, like, I am tired. I don't have it. There's no. It's like, I was like, should I get food here? And then I'm like, I'm just gonna leave. So I literally walk outside, and I'm trying to get an Uber. It's impossible. And then
you're like, I should have gotten food in the arena.
Well, no. I did something stupid, which is not okay. This is probably dumber than you getting in a car with me. But like, there was a guy, like an Uber driver, was like, "Hey, the apps are all jammed up. Do you need a ride?" And it was raining too, of course. It was like fucking pouring. So I'm like standing out.
Did you pay a guy out of pocket?
I handed him $100. He drove me all the way back to the hotel.
I've done it before.
I know, but it was like,
I was with other people. I wasn't by myself.
I was by myself.
After the LSU Dallas game, after the LSU Miami game in Dallas, we walked from the stadium over to the Walmart, and it was packed with people trying to get Ubers. And my friend just went up to a guy in a van and gave him $100 and said, "Hey, can you take us here?" And we did that.
Yeah, no. So I hand some random dude. This is. But
wait, no, was that LSU Dallas? Wait. No, it wasn't that game. We Ubered from that. What game was it that we just got in a van?
Did you go to the UF game
remember.
in Orlando? Was it that one?
No, was that before Uber? What game did we do this? I don't remember.
No, the UF, the Manny Diaz game. Did you go to that?
No, I didn't. I haven't been to the Swamp. No, because
no, this was in Orlando. This is in Orlando.
No, I didn't.
When we played them in the opener.
The only time I've been to Orlando was when we played in the Champ Sports Bowl.
Okay. Because that one was also cold. Yeah, exactly, Nate. That one was impossible to get an Uber from.
No,
but at least if you're
the game in Dallas, we got an Uber, and there were 7 of us. So it was an Uber XL, and we left the stadium and we walked to the Walmart, and I had to pee so bad, and I was gonna go in the Walmart to pee, but my friend was like, "No, the Uber's here." And then I had to sit on the floor of the Escalade that we got Uber because there wasn't enough space. And every time we hit a bump, I thought I was gonna pee my pants.
Oh, my friend Glenn, the one who sold me up by getting out of the car with Chick-fil-A, lives in Dallas, so we just drove with him.
I drank like 5 beers during that game because one of my friends who came with us, every time we would go get a drink, he'd come back with a beer. And
that's how I end up drinking. That's how I end up drinking at our games because once I make that long hike up to the top of the stadium where I sit, I'm like, I'm pretty much here now. But people keep bringing me drinks. But anyway, but I had no idea where this because I don't know Kansas City. Mm-hmm. So at least it was like in Miami. I'd be like,
I'm surprised you didn't rent a car.
I did the next day. So this is what happened. So I am like so used to being an actual like Kansas City. Not insulting it or anything. It's a medium-sized city. And there's a big difference between that than being like Miami or DC or like where Nate is in Phoenix. So my assumption was, okay, it's going to be a pain in the ass to drive there, to get downtown, to park. I was staying closer to the airport, so I wasn't staying really near the arena. So I'm just going to Uber and Uber back. And also, again, I got in there on Thursday late night. The game was Friday. And I wasn't sure if we lost, I was getting the hell out of there Saturday morning. So what am I going to do with the car? I'm by the airport. I'll just go straight to the airport and get the hell out of there. So I Ubered to the thing, and then afterwards, like again, also because I guess it was a medium-sized city, you got a bunch of people in a concentrated area in a city that size. They don't have the cell phone coverage to handle it, so like the apps weren't working. So that's why I ended up doing $100. But then I rented a car the next morning because I actually wanted to see the city then. Well, because then I'm like, all right, now I got it. Saturday was my day.
Now you have a whole day off.
Yeah. So I went around, like, got barbecue. I saw the Negro League Hall of Fame. By the way, you should definitely, if you're ever in Kansas City, go do that. It's awesome. The Negro League Hall of Fame was there. I kind of saw the whole city. And since I wasn't staying in the city, I was staying there. I drove around, did that. And then guess how much it cost to park right next to the arena? I paid $20. After all that money I spent on Ubers going back and forth on Friday, I'm like, I could have just pulled in for $20.
That's cheap.
No, I mean, these places, it's not. No, it's the same. It's the same thing. Like, oh, you weren't there when we went to NC State. We paid the Boy Scouts $10 and went and parked right next to the stadium. Here, it's like Do you have your orange pass? It's all like, it's just, there's a difference being in a big city and now. And I had a big.
Did you see this? Did you see this tweet reply? So Dan Radakovich, the athletic director, tweeted like, "Congrats on like the win, the Canes women's basketball team." This guy replies, "Did you ever hear back from the ACC on why a safety isn't a safety?"
I mean, look, I get it. But
Nate wants to know if you hit Oklahoma Joe's for barbecue.
I went to Gates, so I mean, that was the one I ended up hitting. That day I did actually eat lunch because I was like, I gotta eat this stuff. So no, I went to Gates for the barbecue. But yeah, that was I was like, either I am leaving Saturday morning or I'm gonna spend Saturday seeing Kansas City. And since we won, I ended up seeing.
That's before you knew me. That's before we met.
Yeah, we met the next week actually. I was a week away from meeting you. Yeah, no, and it was really good too. I highly recommend.
Who DM'd who? Did I DM you?
Yeah, you DM me.
I think you responded. I think you responded to something I tweeted, so I DM'd you because I didn't want to keep going back and forth on the replies.
You would DM me before though. This wasn't the first time.
Yeah. Yeah.
We
talked about this earlier on the drive to Vish's. I was like, it's kind of insane how we just talked basketball a few times on Twitter, met at the Final Four, and like literally talk every day. Just
and it's
for
also
background purposes, we talk our group text between me, Vish, and Matt. The amount of basketball talk that goes on a regular basis is crazy, like all the time. It's always going because Vish is up early, and then Matt's up at a reasonable hour in California, so they're chit chatting, and then I get up, but I'm always up late, so Matt's up late for me because he's 3 hours behind. So that
half the time I'm awake too. Anyway, still.
Me and Matt once were chit chatting till like 4 a.m. and Vish got up for work at 6. So.
But I was I mean, I don't know. I'm always like half awake, but even I'm not awake.
So
no, but then Melissa just happens to like live in like the area I grew up in, so she's like right fucking there. Easy drive, wasn't it? You probably drove past my high school.
Vish's sister's house is literally like what 12 minutes my GPS set away from. My
parents are like 5 from you. We drove past their house on the way over here.
Yeah.
But you probably went past my high school on the way through. You must have. Did you go down 77?
I wasn't paying attention.
It's just in a big high school.
I was on 104th for a little bit, and then
probably 70
Yeah.
Either
it's very dark in that area.
Yeah. No, there's no lighting in the whole city. The village of Pinecrest does not do street lighting.
Some dude crossed the street like in all black. Luckily, as I go slow in residential areas, I'm like, "Are you insane, bro? You're just casually strolling."
You want to go? There's speed traps all over this area. You definitely want to go slow.
Well, I'm like taking you to your sister's. That dude was tailgating me. I was doing 40 and a 35.
That reminded me. You experienced when I got in the car with you. She picked me up from like the middle of campus. We go park by the arena. She experienced one of my pet peeves because it's all jammed up. It's like 5 o'clock on a
people
Thursday.
Are just sitting there.
So there's just a bunch of traffic. Well, there's a bunch of traffic and people are just honking as if like you can go anywhere. That was my pet peeve.
We're in this long line of traffic at the light, and I stopped a little bit short of the a little bit longer than I would have for the person in front of me because there was a car trying to turn in. So I was letting them go, and the person behind me is honking at me because they want me to pull up more so they can make a right turn. If I had pulled up any more, I would have hit the guy that had already started to turn into my lane. I'm not sure where this guy thought I could have gone, but he honked twice at me.
No, and this is exactly my pet. So I gave specific examples. Actually, I gave one of people tailing you when there's like a bunch of traffic as if like you can go anywhere, which you got later. But also just like the honking for no reason. Like there's traffic. You're in a city. Relax. Like what'd you think was going to happen? Good Seinfeld reference, by the way. But she did not stop short. She did not make a pass at me. So, have you seen Seinfeld? Do you even know what we're talking about?
No.
So
I found that show to be obnoxious, and I was never a fan.
Really, I thought it was like I thought your people liked it, but it's very popular with your community.
Let's make some generalizations, shall we?
I didn't say you had to like it. It is generally popular. It was a generalization, of course it was. It is popular. No, but there's a pickup move you do in the car when you're driving. That's the exact opposite of what he's saying. When you're going at like speed, and you pretend like there's an obstruction, you slam on the brakes, and then you make a move by like reaching out to like you're protecting the passenger, but you're actually putting a move on. That's
Yeah.
what stop short is. You stop short of like where they're expecting, and it's a pickup move apparently. I don't know. I haven't actually done it.
okay.
That's the joke in the show. So I was like, it's actually the opposite of that because we weren't even moving.
Vish didn't feel my chest.
No, I did photograph
Although I
it
was
later and
driving,
post it
so it
all
would have
over
been
Twitter.
me.
Yeah, that's what I
It
said.
would-
That's why I
it-
said. I said you didn't put a move on me. You were the
Yeah.
one who would have stopped short. No, but it was exactly what I was talking about. There's a million cars there. It's like there's traffic coming out of the garage. There's people turning left out of this other parking lot. The lights.
I was
backed
letting
up.
that car turn in.
Right.
I
But
was
then-
like on their bumper. I
Let's
was
be clear.
on their front bumper. I was like right there.
Yeah, but there's what, like 15-ish cars between us and the light. There are multiple areas where people are turning into this traffic. Everyone
It's by
can see
the art
this.
museum. The art
Yeah.
museum and the entrance
Yeah,
into
The
Pavia.
Pavia garage. But
Yeah.
anyone can see, all right, there's traffic everywhere. Like honking ain't gonna do shit, buddy.
They wanted to turn in, so they wanted me to pull up.
Yes.
The only way I'm pulling up is if I hit the car in front of me. I'm that close.
But also, dude, you see there's a million cars here. Wait 15 fucking seconds and then pull it. Like this is exactly what I'm talking about. You only
So
get
no,
this crap.
But not only that, he honks. I pull up a little bit more where I'm right on this dude's, like, because the dude's
Yeah.
turning in, so it's like this. I'm like right there. There's not much space, and so I pull up a little bit, and there's still not enough space for him to go. So he honks again because I didn't pull up enough. I'm like, he doesn't see the person that's right. Like I'm literally about to hit them. So people. If it wasn't Miami, I would have flicked them off. But who knows who's carrying down here? So I
Yeah,
will
but I mean,
refrain.
this was exactly my pet peeve, SJ. You're in a city. There's gonna be traffic. You're gonna have to wait sometimes multiple times to cross a light. Just deal with it. That's where you're living.
I had to wait 3 green lights to make that
Right.
left turn into Stanford Circle to come to you
Because-
at that light
because
because it was
welcome to-
so backed up.
Right, but
And there's no
welcome to-
arrow. It didn't give me an arrow, and there was so much traffic. The only person who could make a left was when the light turned yellow and red to go. So it was like 1 car at a time, or 2,
that's
depending
like,
on.
but I get, but that was exactly what I was.
Mhm.
That was on what was
Yeah,
on my mouth trash.
That was
one.
your pet peeve.
Yeah, there's
Yeah, no,
traffic
that's-
everywhere. Just be patient and wait for like. Oh yeah, we all like to go. We're just chilling here for no reason. Yeah, exactly. All right, that is a good way to end it. Anyway,
All right.
just a quick recap. Obviously, the Canes women, huge win tonight. Men at Syracuse at noon on Saturday. We'll probably have some kind of buckets. Melissa and I are going to be on the Miami Flow, the main Flow show. Sunday night, we're going to do a hoop segment there. Next Wednesday, the men play at Notre Dame. We'll have buckets probably right after that. So look around.
Should be a win. We've already blown them out once.
Let's not get.
That's why I say should. You never know.
That is next Wednesday, 7 p.m. We should have buckets at around 9 p.m. after that, and then Thursday the women
play
at North Carolina
at a ranked North Carolina.
So that's the week ahead.
Thanks for being our lone person in the chat tonight.
Yes,
a random Thursday night that we announced an hour before that we were going to do the show. But always love a fellow Kane alum, 2-time Kane alum, I believe. As well as me and Vish.
To steal since Matt's not here, we can steer his parlance. Our guy Nate here, came in.
Our guy Nate.
He's definitely our guy.
Thanks.
So.
And then if you are watching this and not talking in the chat, thanks for watching. If you're coming back and watching this, thanks again. Shout out again to Coach Meyer and the Canes beating number 4 NC State 73-59. Best game I've seen all season. Love it. And Vish, awesome day.
Yeah.
See you Saturday.
Much better than yesterday.
Cue the Sox outro. Don't cry. Keep it chill. Wear good socks.